Dinner. We got 4 in here already. This is our third installment of this. I'm joined today, guys, by Greg. He's just a friend of mine from my film school days.
Just a friend.
From the
really selling it.
From it does this every time. From south of the border from the United States. You know that we're here in Canada with breakfast cereal, but Greg is in the.
Let me mute this. Hold on.
Yeah, mute your.
Got it.
Yeah, Greg's from New York. And anyways, today we're going to be doing a Q&A, and I think actually Greg's prepared a little quiz for you guys. So once you come in here, if you're joining, make sure you drop a comment in, say hello. And this week, so just to recap the week before we get going on the Q&A, this week I had last Saturday already? Or a week ago, we came out with the Broadmoor episode Broadmoor was my latest episode, right? Yeah, Broadmoor was the latest episode on England's notorious insane asylum. And hey, James, how you doing? James Herbert, welcome.
Oh, James Herbert, hello.
And then this coming week on Friday, I got a long form video coming out, and it's called "Where Did All the Serial Killers Go?" You're going to want to check out that one. It's the longest piece of content that I've made for the channel. It's over 20 minutes long. Wow. And it's one of those video essays. It's going to be great. What's up, Joker Boy?
Joker Boy, welcome.
So yeah, this is a live Q&A joined by Greg, and we're going to get into some of the questions that you guys had. People posted me questions over on Instagram. People threw some questions on YouTube as well. If you have a question, anything related to breakfast cereal, anything related to serial killers, anything related to absolutely anything you want, drop it down in the comments, and we'll get into it. So
we'll be keeping our eye on the chat, so just fire away. I'll read them out as they come out. I figured before we jump into Q&A from some of the viewers, why don't we start with how you just started this whole concept in general? How long ago did you start? What triggered that spark to get this going? Talk a little bit about that.
Right. So, okay, cool. I've been, and just so people know, I'm away for the week. So I'm in this weird space. I'm in a hotel. I'm working, but I figured the show must go on. So we're doing it live from the hotel. But to Jay Miranda. Hello, how are you?
Miranda.
We got a question from Jay Miranda writes in our list of questions, what we're going to get to.
I'm looking at it.
But okay, yeah. So how did we start? How did I get this started? Okay, that's the first question. Well, basically, I've been into true crime since as long as I could kind of remember, since before it was cool to be into true crime. Back in like elementary school, sitting around at Christmas break, watching TV in the mornings, like you'd watch like shows like American Justice, Cold Case Files.
Phenomenal.
And I say it in my Henry Lee Lucas episode. You'd watch like American Justice, then you'd flip over, watch Price is Right. And then you would watch like 15 episodes of Roseanne on back to back for the rest of the afternoon. But yeah, watching those true crime shows like that, A&E Biography Channel, things on Dahmer, stuff like that. And then, I've always had that darker sense of humor, as you kind of know, Greg, to an extent too. And the filmmaking background. So I just married all three of those things together, and then breakfast cereal kind of came out of that. Actually, the other part is my old job. When I started the channel, I had a job, and my job was to pitch series ideas. And
was this one of the ones you pitched?
It was an idea that I came up with, and I liked it too much to pitch it to my job.
You back-pocketed it. Nice.
I kept it for myself. Yeah.
It worked out, though. It worked out.
Yeah, so far.
So when did the first episode come out? How many years ago are we talking?
The first episode of Breakfast Cereal, I released 3 at the same time because they say on YouTube it's smart to you want to release an episode and start a channel with more than one piece of content for people to enjoy. So it's like you give them one piece, they really like it, and there's nothing else for them to look at, right? So I released 3 episodes, and that was November 2022.
Wow. How long did that episode take to produce, write, edit, figure out? Because now you have it down pat. You have kind of a vibe of what you're going with.
Just quickly, down in the comments before we get to there, James Herbert saying, who is Greg? Greg's one of my good friends from film school. He's an Emmy Award winner. graphic designer. What do you do, Greg? Motion
I work.
graphics,
I
stuff like
work
that.
in the news. It's not exciting. A lot of motion graphics. Don't work in the news, people. If you're listening and looking for a career out there, it's horrible and not worth it.
But yeah, Greg's here today just to kind of moderate the Q&A as we go, right, and kind of host for me.
So
So
again, anyone in here, feel free to ask questions. We have a list of questions we're going to get to. We're kind of just going the background of how Josh got started with the idea. We're on his first episode now that he ever created, and what sparked that.
yeah, so we shoot in batches. We create episodes in batches because it takes a decent amount of time to set up, to shoot, and it takes a few people and all that. And I frankly don't want to be shooting every single week. So
Sure.
what we did, I knew I wanted to launch the channel. I spent the summer preparing, doing tests, coming up with concepts, and then we wrote 8 full-length episodes and went away for a couple of days and shot 8 episodes over the course of 2 days in the
Wow.
location. And since then, that's how we've continued. We always, I will edit them after that and release them one at a time. And then by the time I've released all 8, we've already in the background been working. When I say we, it's me and my brother doing the writing. We'll write all the next batch of 8 episodes. And by the time I've released the previous 8, we're ready to shoot the next batch. We go back and we shoot in studio these days, but shoot another 8 in a day and a half, 2 days
It's like
of
a
me
conveyor
going back
belt.
to back to back.
Just got it
Yeah,
ready.
but it's
Yeah.
worth it, right? You're going to do all that setup. You might as well shoot more than one thing. Takes
Absolutely.
two and a half hours, 3 hours for us to get set up to shoot.
What's the
So
hardest process of it all? I remember you as an editor. This guy is an insanely fast, talented editor. So I'm sure that it's not editing. What is
it is
the
editing.
Is it really? No,
It's
shit.
editing, yeah, because I put so much
Oh, that
time.
leads us to a question. How long does it take to edit an average show? So that's perfect.
It depends on the episode. Now, some of what you see in a final episode is I write into the page, or if I'm writing that episode, I have a really good idea of some of the clips that I want to put in on top for B-roll. I have a good idea of some of the funny stuff I want to add behind me or whatever it may be. But I still don't really know like that pacing that I'm going to go for in the episode. I don't know what music I really want to use ahead of time. Spend a lot
Sure.
of time looking for the right music that I think fits the mood of that killer. If you go back and you watch a lot of my episodes, most of the music I try most of the time to select music that I think kind of makes sense for the time period that we're talking about. Like the H.H. Holmes episode or the Jack the Ripper the episode. I use all this like Victorian style, like classical hip hop and stuff, like
So yeah, I like
classical
that.
music.
Yeah.
So there's
Even
a lot of thought.
subliminally, that weighs in, you know?
Not to toot my own horn, but I put a ton of thought into all this
Josh
stuff for
will
you guys.
toot his own horn. Don't worry about that.
But I love the editing process. But I will spend up to an entire week of like 8 hours a day sometimes on one episode editing it.
Well, that James Herbert actually said, what episode took you the longest to edit? Do you have that answer off the bat?
I would say the funny thing is the episodes that take me the longest to edit are probably some of the episodes that I like the least. And the reason that being is because I'm kind of having a struggle of how to fit it together in a way that I'm really liking. So I'm trying something here, it doesn't work, so I go back and I try something else. So it takes longer in the end. The edits that go the quickest are the ones that I think are usually the best because it's coming naturally and it's coming easy for me to edit, and I get in a roll and I get excited and I go.
I mean, we used to do that, remember, in film school. We'd do like 24-hour turnarounds. You would just steamroll edit through the night. I'd wake up, he'd be like, it's done. I'm like, oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
Jay Miranda actually asked an interpersonal question. Do you think you have learned anything new about yourself since you started this channel? That's a great question.
That is a great question. I think I'm learning more and more. That's a great question. There's times, and I talk about it in an episode that I'm working on writing right now, actually. There's times, sometimes at night, I'm editing an episode and I'm watching some clips on what I'm doing or I'm reading something. And for a second, I go, the fuck am I doing? Because
that's me every night.
Some of it gets under my skin. Sometimes it disturbs me a little bit from time to time where I'm like, come on, what am I doing? And then I actually have a tiny bit of trouble sleeping from time to time. I've learned that I love the process more and more. Like I've always loved film stuff and making content, make editing. And I worked for a YouTube channel before starting Breakfast Cereal, like a large YouTube channel. But I've always known I love this stuff, but I love making this stuff. I know that. So I
Well,
think
I
yeah,
asked too with that, just to piggyback off that. Comedy's always been our thing. Is it
yeah.
sometimes hard to get yourself to be in that funny spirit when you're editing and putting together such heavy, heavy content?
Yeah, it's a massive challenge to figure out how to, and it's something that I think is evolving over time, and I'm getting better and better at of how to handle these topics and where it's appropriate
Sure,
and
sure. No,
what's not
absolutely.
appropriate because
Yeah,
from day one we started out and we said there's never going to be a joke ever made at a victim's expense. Like
that's fair.
that was like
That's a good rule to have. Yeah.
we wrote down some hard rules, right? And we're never gonna blah blah blah. But then we'd run into stuff like when one of the questions coming up is, was there an episode that was hard to do?
I
Right? I
saw
think,
that. Yeah.
and yeah, Albert Fish. Albert Fish is a serial killer from back in the day who was well known for doing some of the most disturbing fucking watch my
Like
language and not
heinous,
alive.
heinous, heinous.
Yeah, involving the youngins, right?
Oh,
So it's like you look at that story in that case and you go, okay, wait, are we going to make a comedy piece about this?
sure. Yeah.
Is this, are we doing something really? Are we doing something? Is this right? Is this bad? Is this not okay?
You're kind of
But
walking on that thin line, you know?
yeah, so it just depends on how you handle it. Cause like I started to think to myself, and I've people who are familiar with the channel are familiar with this line that I talk about all the time. Uh, we just took a whole pile of shots at Albert Fish's expense throughout. Norm, you know Norm. What's Norm's last name? All of a sudden, I can't remember.
Who, me?
The
Norm?
Yeah,
Who's Norm?
Famous Norm, the comedian.
Oh, Norm McDonald.
Yes, Norm Macdonald does a bit on Albert Fish even, and it's
Oh,
like
okay.
if I'm just fucking poking, if I'm just taking shots at Albert Fish and making fun of this piece of garbage for doing the things that he did, how is that any? Is that worse than somebody whose serious channel is just to like show you the disturbing letters that he wrote and rubberneck like at an accident? I don't think so. I think it's
Both are to me, both are glorification to an extent, you know what I mean? Like
yeah,
no real difference, you know?
yeah.
That so Live Creepy asked, what was your favorite episode, least favorite episode? Was that your least favorite, you'd say? To
No,
work on?
I actually Albert Fish was not. It was fun. I liked it. It was good. My least favorite episode is it's funny because every time I make an episode, I'm like, this is my favorite episode.
Always.
And then the next episode comes out, I'm like, this is my favorite episode. I think my favorite piece of content on the channel, and no one likes this piece of content. My favorite piece of content on the channel is the episode where I try to make KFC.
That's
the
fantastic.
the making John Wayne Gacy's last meal episode, where I team up with an employee from KFC and try to figure out the secret recipe for KFC. That's really where my sense of humor, like if I had my dream, would be making more content like that. And the channel
James
has
likes that episode. He's saying good episode. He likes that.
but if you want to know what my favorite episode that's a little bit more standard, a little bit more like the channel, I would say I really like the Henry Lee Lucas episode that I did.
Okay.
I also really like the episode I did fairly recently on the truck stop killer part 1, and I like the BTK episode is like episode 2. There's a few Robert Picton from Canada, that's one of my favorites. So there's a lot that I like, but yeah.
I don't want to skip over any questions, so I'll make you uncomfortable. Ask, how do you start a video from ground zero? What's your process? I'd ask the same. Is it you have the subject in mind and then you take it from there, or how does that happen?
Usually it's like, well, at first it was all these guys that I already knew, like quite a lot of the ins and outs about to begin with. But now we're getting into other people and stuff like that. I will go and I'll think like right now I'll tell you right now who I'm working on writing.
Sure. Yeah.
I'm writing I'm doing the dating game killer right now, and I'm working on another one on writing Wade Wilson, the
What
Deadpool
shows
killer.
were the dating game killer on? Was it
It was the dating game. It was called
the
the
dating
dating
game
game.
with Chuck
Yeah,
Woolery, right?
I think so. I'm not even that far into writing that one.
Oh yeah, it's like
But
crazy. I remember that.
so the way I haven't seen that movie yet, and I have to watch it. But the way I will handle writing an episode is I'll read a biography, I'll watch a documentary, stuff like that. And what I've said about my channel over and over is my channel is not the place to come. I don't really think of my channel as the place you come if you want all of the facts A to Z about a killer or
Sure.
about the person. It's more like, okay, I already know about Jeff Dahmer and I know that whole story. Breakfast Cereal channel is there to like pick out certain spots that he wants to make fun of.
Also, here's some ridiculous shit you would have never heard about, like,
Yeah,
which is
yeah,
great.
yeah. Yeah, I think it's a fresh take and it's something different, like than just going and listening to the same old like somebody give you the facts of a case over that you already know anyways,
Sure.
right? So like, did you like you already know that I don't know, but yeah, that's my
Guys,
thought.
just a reminder to double tap and like the stream because it helps our engagement get out there. So we very much appreciate that. I'm going to move over to one of the questions we got from either Instagram or Facebook or wherever it came from. Monster MW asks, this is a great question because I've wondered the same. How many robes do you actually own? And are you always on the lookout for some new ones? The robe game has been strong, buddy. It's been strong.
I curate those robes, man. Like I gotta have 12 or 14 different robes at this point, probably.
Jesus.
I initially bought a round of like pretty expensive robes off of, I don't know how you pronounce this. Is it ASOS or ASOS?
Oh, ASOS. Yeah.
Yeah, ASOS. So I bought these cool, my favorite one is that leopard blue one, and that's from ASOS. But then, so I bought like 5 or 8, and initially I was like, I'm going to get a different robe for every episode, but that's unrealistic.
It's crazy.
So after that, I started going over to like some like Value Village, which is like a thrift store here in Canada. And like going through the thrift stores, and like they'll sell robes in the thrift stores for like $5.
Oh, with ridiculous patterns, I'm sure too.
So you can find some cool ones. Yeah, I got a couple earmarked. Everybody should go check out this company. It's called OAS.com. They're like these. I think it's OAS. They're a clothing company from Sweden. I bought one of the robes, the green robe that I wore in Dahmer. It's actually just like the robe that was actually just my robe. But they're expensive. They're like, that one was like $270 US or something.
I love that.
I'm not gonna.
Go ahead.
Yeah, but yeah. So that's where the robes come from.
Someone asked, and I've wondered this: do you actually eat the cereal? And I'll piggyback on that. Do you have a favorite cereal?
Yeah.
And
so
if it's Cookie Crisp, you're out of your mind.
So it's not a wine tasting. I don't spit out the cereal.
You're not like a sommelier, like dude.
I eat the cereal. I do. Now, here's the thing. I just told you guys that I also shoot like 8 episodes over the course of 2 days. So I don't have to, when we break, because we take a break so that we can get lunch for like Eric, cameraman Eric, and whoever else is there helping with the teleprompter that day. They order lunch. I never order lunch because I'm fucking stuffed to the rafters already with stuffed full of Fruit Loops, right? So yeah, I eat a lot of cereal while we're doing it. But what's really gross though is usually by the end of an episode,
it's got to be the soggiest bowl of shit.
The absolute most disgusting mush. So sometimes,
disgusting.
Yeah, I eat mostly Fruit Loops because I think they just have that look. The colorful look is good. I could try Fruity Pebbles maybe next time too.
Oh, Pebbles are fire though.
My favorite.
In the chat, let us know your favorite cereals because I have. This is for my own. Well,
my actual favorite cereal is probably.
You're gonna say like Oat Bran or some boring ass shit or some Canadian shit no one's ever heard of.
No, now so I wouldn't eat. It depends. Like if you're talking about a cereal that I would eat on a daily, I'm not going to sit around eating Fruit Loops because I don't want to.
You're not 7 years old,
and I don't want to die young. So, if I'm eating just regular cereal, I eat muesli, but like very like Alpen muesli. It's like the most healthy cereal in the world because I actually eat incredibly healthy on a day-to-day basis for the most part.
Someone
then
saying
like,
Cheerios. That's a safe answer. I like that
but
answer.
I really like Frosted Flakes. I really like honeycombs.
Oh, honeycomb are so good.
I really like corn pops. I like cinnamon
What
toast
about, I
crunch.
don't know, do you have this in Halloween, around Halloween time in Canada? Do you have this in Canada, like Boo Berry and Count Chocula? Is that making
We
its
don't,
way to you?
what's Halloween? No, yeah. We
It's
don't
the
have that here.
Canadian Thanksgiving. Golden Grams, another great answer out there.
Yeah,
James chimed in with, there's a movie on Amazon he saw recently about Robert Picton called Pig Killer. He said it's awful. He doesn't know if you've seen it and your thoughts on
yo,
it.
James Herbert. I can't believe you just brought that up. I was talking to my brother yesterday. My brother now lives overseas, so we're working remotely. But he was saying I got to watch Pig Killer because I'm going to do a review on it. So yes, I haven't seen it yet, but I'm going to watch it in the next couple of weeks and write something on it and shoot the episode for that probably in 2 weeks when we shoot again. So I will see it soon. He said it was hilariously bad.
All right, I'll go to another viewer question.
James Herbert says Scotland. Is James Herbert actually
Is he
my
from
brother?
Scotland?
Is he actually my brother?
Oh, that'd be phenomenal.
Well, because that's where my brother is, and James Herbert knows that. And James Herbert also just said something about Pig Killer. He must have watched it with my. He must be somebody who knows Dan.
There you go.
Yeah.
Hurricane Valence asks, are you still making an episode on serial killer nicknames? And what killers will you be covering next? So I guess some upcoming project and if you're going to do the nickname thing.
Yeah. So the nickname thing is very much something that I want to do. I just haven't landed on the exact angle for how to tackle it yet. It's just a matter of me. The way I write when I have an idea is I have I do something that I call, and I've heard, it's not my original term, but it's called a vomit pass.
Love it.
So I have an idea, like if I sit down with a serial killer nickname episode, I just start writing and I don't stop myself. I just keep going and 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 see what comes out. And then I come back after that and say, okay, this is pretty good. That's pretty good. This is pretty good. Let's expand on this. Let's get rid of that. And I keep going, and then I narrow in on what I've got, and then I really start to structure it out after that. So
I
think
imagine my industry is probably, like the news industry is probably to blame for a lot of the nicknames coming to fruition, correct?
Yep, 100%, 100%.
Yeah.
That's I talk about that in the one thing. It's like all the media trying to come up with cool sounding names for the headlines, like the Milwaukee Cannibal and the blah blah blah.
The Gilgo Killer.
Yeah, the float like a butterfly, sting like a bee. But yeah,
The Muhammad Ali shirt. Max, everyone, again, like the live if you can. Give it the thumbs up. It took me a while when I was watching the one last week to figure out where the thumbs up was, but then I did find it. But it does help the algorithm grow. I see hearts flying by. Throw your questions out in the live chat. We have some upcoming questions, which I'll go to one now. Max K23 asks, is there any, you kind of touched on this before, is there any case you tried to cover but can't due to how messed up it was? Or in general, any cases you tried to write about, but the video just didn't get made at all? Have you started something and just scrapped it completely?
There's one video that I shot like a year ago or more. The only time it's happened. And the guy's name is Ivan Milat. He's Australian. And a few people are on my case to like do this Ivan Milat video. And then I was like, yeah, I already shot it. It'll be out soon. And just for some reason or another, I sit down to edit it, and there's something going on that I don't like, and can't put my finger on it. I haven't completely given up on it, but I certainly is his
story not just compelling, or is it just?
I think it's something in the structure of it, how we did it. I'm not sure, but like I just keep kicking it down the line, and I keep just shooting more stuff and releasing it ahead. So I don't know. It's the only time that's happened. Everything else has always been released. So yeah.
I like this one coming up. Do you think Ed Kemper would have been a good basketball player since he's 6'9"? He's definitely a power forward or above. That's a tall dude.
He probably can't. He probably have a shit free throw, but like Shaq, or
a very steady hand.
Well, his nickname, Ed Kemper's one nickname was Bumblebutt, right? Which would be a good nickname for
Horrendous.
like a Dikembe Mutombo type, or
Yeah.
like a, yeah, or a Shaq type as well, right? I feel like Ed Kemper just seemingly would be too clumsy, but he would look hilarious in a pair of like '70s type NBA short shorts with like whatnot. And yeah,
Morena asks, ladies of the night seem to be the main targets of many serial killers. What's your thoughts on legalized prostitution? Can I say that word on here? That's
yeah.
regulated like in some other countries. To get the girls off of the streets and have some semblance of protection. Personally, I don't know, undecided. Actually a great point.
It's an excellent question, and it's a question for somebody a lot smarter than me.
Sure, absolutely.
Jay Miranda actually just asked a question in the chat too. That's the same person. Isn't Ivan the backpack killer? Ivan is the backpack killer, yes. But to answer the question about prostitution, I think there's two things happening there. I mean, I think that potentially legalizing it, like a lot of countries around the world have, bringing them off the streets to an extent.
I mean,
But
we don't know if there's any statistics that does anything
I
as far
think
as
the
serial killing.
I think the issue is, regardless of whether or not it's legalized, maybe, and this is just me speculating, but regardless of whether or not it's legalized, I think a lot of the people who initially end up in that line of work are people with very little other options and have usually some sort of problems to an extent, less people in their lives. So they become targets of serial killers because they can, the police didn't seem to care too much, and
There's
two,
usually no one looking for them.
exactly, that's it,
Yeah.
right? So does legalizing it and regulating it all of a sudden make it that these people have other people looking for them? I don't know. So are they still going to be vulnerable regardless, right? Because they just don't have the same amount of, I don't know. I don't know. That's an excellent question for somebody smarter than me. Maybe I'll ask the psychologist next time I have her on the live.
That's a
Maybe
good
she,
question. Someone
yeah,
chimed in off of that. Grinder was legal and it made them targets, which was very true. I remember when that was a thing going around for a while.
yeah, yeah. Interesting. It's an interesting
Uh,
question.
that's a great question. Vicus B Hard HY 6377.
Oh yeah,
It's
it's a good name.
a long one. Great name. What was family reaction to this making YouTube videos on serial killers and crimes they've committed? Wait, what was the family reaction?
Oh, my family.
I'm guessing your family.
Yeah,
They've
yeah,
committed.
yeah.
Were they supportive, or did they say, "What the hell's wrong with this guy"? Knowing your family, I'm sure they were very cool with it.
Well, my brother works
Your
with me
brother
on it.
loved it. Yeah.
My brother works with me on it. Yeah, I mean, to be honest, my
Good
mom will
reception overall.
my mom won't watch. My mom doesn't really watch it because she doesn't really like true crime stuff, so she doesn't really watch it.
Did she
And
watch our movies from film school?
oh yeah, my mom's my biggest fan, but she doesn't really
Yeah.
want to hear me. She doesn't really want to hear me talk about that stuff that much, and neither does my wife. So she doesn't watch anything.
I didn't even know that. That's fantastic.
I think she saw like 2 episodes and was like, "Don't ever show me any of this. Just do what you want to do."
I don't want to know this.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
phenomenal. Again,
yeah.
everyone coming in. I see some
And
people
yet it
coming in,
works.
coming out. Be sure to like the screen, double tap the screen. We're asking Josh questions. We have questions on the back burner as well, but as they come into your head, throw them out there.
There's
Someone
a
just asked, Josh, are you a child of divorce? That's
that's
an interesting one.
that's an
That's
interesting question.
personal. I am,
That's
so welcome if you are.
Yeah, that's personal, but I'll tell you, no, I'm not. My parents, but my father, it's personal, whatever. My father died when I was younger, when I was in my teens, unexpectedly, in an accident. So I was 17. He died this is getting heavy.
Yeah, you're really bringing down the line.
Yeah, he died, and then the day of visitation in the morning, I was putting on my clothes, sitting in the living room, putting on a tie, and then the planes hit the World Trade Center. So he died on September the 8th, 2001, and then September 11th happened. So it was a wild few
And
days.
then you were
Anyways,
like, I'm going to move to the Big Apple.
yeah. Anyways, yeah.
How do you you kind of touched on this for a second. How do you manage to keep a light? This is Santa asking. How do you manage to keep a lighthearted spirit while talking about such a dark subject matter? Do you just
Yeah.
ever like you're just so in it? I got to get up. I got to sleep on this. I got to revisit it with fresh eyes because I'm getting a little too heavy or whatever it may be.
Sometimes like I get a little more I get like when I get editing, it's sometimes if I stop a project that I'm working on like at like 11 o'clock at night and I go to bed, I lay in bed and I think about what I'm editing and I think about stuff I could do differently, and it's hard for me to fall asleep because I
Sure.
just my the wheels are still turning. I need to like decompress, like so. I just often I'll have to like make myself watch, like I'm doing all this heavy shit, so I'll just go and watch an episode of Seinfeld, or I'll go and watch something else like really light in between to like kind of
Ease the
like break
mood a bit.
to break out of that and then go. But to keep things light, it's just always been like part of my weird dark sense of humor. Um, yeah, it's just like that line that we talked about before, finding that line and trying to dance that line and all that. And I think we've done a pretty good job, especially recently. But yeah.
No, we've been banging them out. Let's see, what else do we have coming up? This is just an interesting question. How do you start your morning? It's just a
Well, you know what that is. You haven't seen enough episodes. That's the tagline of the
no.
that's the tagline of the channel.
Oh, with the podcast. How do you start your morning? That's right.
Yeah, exactly. So that person's being cheeky.
I was gonna answer him with a coffee and a shit, but like I guess you have a better
Yeah,
answer than that.
that's a good
Yeah, that's it.
that's a good question. I you
You
know
still
what? A
use the
lot
French press, by the way?
no, so I got really into coffee several years ago.
Oh God, you're like one of those dudes now.
I have an espresso machine that costs more than my freaking Jeep
With the
practically.
steam wand and the whole
Oh, it's all knobs and levers, man.
oh, I hate you. Oh
Yeah,
God.
it's all
30
very
minutes to make a cup of coffee.
no, but it's a few minutes.
Are you
But it's
weighing
good.
out the beans like on a scale and tearing the scale and doing all that?
Uh no, because I've already locked it in. I do that once per bag or once per load, and then I lock it in and leave it, right?
I hate you. I just immediately hate. I just don't like you anymore.
Are you getting tired of cereal yet?
How could you ever really get tired of cereal? I mean, you
No,
walk down the cereal aisle, there are 5,000 variants of cereal.
you'd be surprised how much I actually eat it. I do eat it as a snack a lot too. It's like my go-to snack still, like at night and stuff. Like I eat cereal. We're a cereal house at my place.
Wait, are you a savage? Are you using whole milk?
No, I'm over 40 now, so I have to eat. I have to have special
2%?
milk, and
Oh, like
uh,
oat milk? Are you doing oat?
no, I do, but I just lactose-free milk.
It's
I
in
don't.
water.
I don't think the United States has lactose, so you wouldn't know.
No, we want all the lactose. I need to do
You,
that instead of
soon
Starbucks every
soon
time.
you're not gonna have much dairy because we're gonna have to put a fucking tariff on it.
No, when you're the 51st state, we can take all the milk we want and the syrup.
Yeah, we're gonna tax our maple syrup through the roof, man.
It's getting wild over here. So, what do you have on the horizon? Like, what's coming up? What's in the
What's
back
coming
burner
up?
that you can share with us without giving too much away?
Oh, I could share everything. I want to be able to share all that stuff with people that are going to join the lives. I want the lives to be something special, right? So, like, I'm thinking about starting like that members thing on the channel. I would start it if I was going to start like a Patreon or something. I would charge like I don't know, $2-3 a month. Is that something I should do, people, or am I being greedy? You tell me. But to get to release content early, to do all that kind of thing. But what's coming up now is
Well, now, hold on. Let me cut you off. Would it be like early releases or extended cuts or a little bit of both? Like,
it would be early releases. It'd be a bunch of different stuff that other people don't get. This is coming out.
this looks like the opening to like Kitchen Nightmares.
Yeah, that's coming out on Friday. And by the way, just to people that are just joining, I'm doing the live from a hotel today because I'm away for work. So the show must go on. But an episode called "Where Did All the Serial Killers Go?" And I'm really psyched about it. It's another one that's in that same kind of format of the one that I did on BTK's family and all that, serial killer families. But it's really questioning about how come it feels to me like we haven't had any Dahmer, Gacy, Ramirez since like
Sure.
Dahmer, Gacy, and Ramirez? Why was it always the 70s and the 80s and the 90s, these big guys? What's different? What's changed? Where did they go? Because they got to still be here, right? That's the whole premise of the episode. It's me examining that, and I think it's a lot of interesting, like, weird questions that I ask.
Now, do you think just the technology, this is just me speculating, the technology has just gotten so much better that they
I
can
talk.
nab these guys and gals up way
I
quicker?
talk. Well, it's spoiler, but I talk about that. Yes, and that's one of the last things I bring up. But my belief is that no, because I think these guys that are killing and serial killers, they're doing it because they have some sort of deep seated. Usually, it's a perversion, but like some deep psychological need and desire that they're willing. They need it so bad that they will risk their entire lives to get that fix. Right. So
Sure.
having better crime is not enough, or better crime detection and CSI and DNA. I don't think that's enough to deter some of these guys who are that obsessed in their brains with this idea. They have to do it.
They're gonna get it done. Yeah.
I think they do it anyways. Yeah.
Santa asked, what other comedic styles or genres inspire your work, and if there are any other YouTubers or even comedians who influence your approach to things. It's a great question. Is there anyone really doing this in that space? Because everything I
There's
see true crime is pretty much, like we
yeah.
said before, telling the story from A to B, including all the facts, no real personal takes on things, which you kind of throw in there.
I would say that there's some others in the genre too, or in this field a little bit. I think that chapter does some comedic takes. It's still different than what I'm doing. There's a channel called That Chapter. There's a channel called everybody knows the podcast called Last Podcast on the Left. Those guys are mixing up comedy and crime a lot and stuff like that. But again, those are more podcasts where I don't view myself as a podcast. It's not a podcast. A
No, it
podcast
really
is
isn't.
it's a show, really, because
Yeah.
it's like it is scripted, and it's built through post-production and all of that, through editing to help tell the story. A podcast is more off the cuff, unscripted for the most part, or if it is scripted, it's just different. It's not. I don't think it's a podcast. I don't think of it as a podcast. I think of it as a show. There was a question before too that we missed from Monkey Land.
Let me see. Let me
Josh,
scroll.
what Canadian provinces have you been to? I visited Ontario and Quebec with some of my family when I was in elementary school, and they were very different from each other. I have been to British Columbia, Alberta, Ontario, where I live, Quebec, Nova Scotia, New Brunswick, PEI, Newfoundland.
What's PEI?
Prince Edward Island. Fucking Americans. Prince.
Can't wait to take that over.
I've been to most of them, except for Manitoba, where I'll make you uncomfortable is from, because there's nothing there except basically I'll make you uncomfortable. He's like the only thing there. Yeah.
Obsession, not an addiction. Are any serial killers? Oh, that's a great question. Are any of the serial killers off limits to you completely?
I
would say no. Knowing you, I'd say no, but I don't know.
I think there are, to be honest, or I think they are, and I would have to look and think for a while about it. But I don't like to do. Believe it or not, some reason, like I'm going to use like the YouTube word for it because I don't want to get demonetized and all that. But essay, a lot of essay content,
Sure,
or a lot of, even though most of them have had that, it's kind of hard to figure out how to handle that stuff. And a lot of youngin stuff. That stuff that really is just appalling. And I don't know. I haven't done much of it, as you probably see if you look through the channel. Albert
it's hard
Fish was
to
the
take a
only one.
light spin on something like that, for sure.
Yeah, regardless of if I'm making fun of the guy. I don't know. Maybe there's an angle, but good question again there, Miranda. Thank you.
I have a question. So with most of these guys and gals you've covered so far, percentage-wise, you say 80%, 90%, 100%, all have some sort of like substance abuse problems? Are they either into drugs, drinking? Are they sober generally? What have you found?
Surprisingly, substance abuse isn't as prevalent, I don't think, as you'd think.
See, and I would think it would be very prevalent.
You know what's way more prevalent? Like 90% of them it has something to do with sex.
Really? It's like some sort of perversion.
Yeah, 90, like 90% of them, it's something. Like, even if you look at like one of the most famous examples, right? Jeffrey Dahmer, right? People get this idea in their heads that the serial killers are out there, that it's like especially with Dahmer, that it was like the kill that he got off on or something, right? The unaliving, as they say, was what he got on, but it's not. He was after having full control of someone. And so he started by drugging people to have them unconscious. But then he wanted more. He wanted to keep them around longer. And for him to have that, all of a sudden he was like, you know what? If they are completely unalive, they're dead, then I can do whatever. So the actual killing was like a means to an end. And in his opinion, kind of like he didn't really want to have to do it, but he kind of had to do it to get what he actually wanted.
Sure. Yeah.
Right.
That's interesting, actually.
And that's a lot of these cases. That's what it's about. It's the actual killing is kind of like an offshoot of what they're actually kind of after.
Well, it's all over for them after that. I mean, like, what else can you do? You know?
Yeah, well, not for Dahmer, because he wanted to like lay around with the body and like keep it
Wasn't
in
he
his
cooking
bed.
some of them up?
A little bit. Apparently, that's a lot more overblown than you think. He did it like
See, that was like the coolest part too, because I would
He
eat that.
he did it. He did it like once or twice, but like apparently it's been a lot overblown.
Like a medium rare spleen. You're telling me you're not going to at least take a bite? James
Yeah.
said, you mentioned Wade Wilson. Are you planning on doing any other modern day killers?
There
And
you go.
to piggyback off that, who's the most modern to date that you filmed?
You have to watch the episode that comes out on Friday, because I talk extensively about what I referred to. I'll give you a spoiler, okay? I do a whole weird metaphor with Marvel Comics, where they had the Silver Age, where all of these superheroes came in like a 5-10 year period. You had Spider-Man, X-Men, Fantastic Four, Captain America, Hulk, all these
Just pushing
superheroes.
them out. Yeah.
But then after the Silver Age ended, we haven't really had any more household names come to light since then, except for the occasional one, like a Wolverine or a Deadpool. So I kind of take that as a metaphor for the episode and say the Silver Age of serial killing was the 70s, 80s with your Ted Bundys, your Ramirez, your up to like your Dahmers and stuff like that. But who are the modern era, and why don't we hear about them like we heard about the guys from the Silver Age? So I talk about several different modern serial killers in this episode.
Do you think the older ones, it just has more to do with the lore of everything? Because
that's why you got to watch the episode. That's what the whole thing is about. The whole episode is about like, why do you think it was that way? Because what was it the media? Was it, we're coming out of the 60s with sex, drugs, and rock and roll, and if it bleeds, it leads, and like all that stuff, right? So
Live Creepy with another great question. If you could have any serial killer as a guest on the Guess Who portion, which one would you choose?
Oh man,
that's tough. Also, I love that addition. I texted you on the side about that when I saw that. That's great. I love it.
And guess what, folks? The box is done. The box design is done. So that's coming out soon. It looks amazing. So
who did all the caricature work?
A fan of the channel, reached out and said he'd love to work with me on something. And
whoever that was, excellent work. I don't know if you have a shout out.
James Highslope. Hislope.
Fantastic work from one artist to another. Fantastic.
Go follow him on Instagram. Anyways, he if I could have any serial killer, I don't know. Like something tells me Ed Kemper would be pretty funny to play it against.
I feel like I hear Ed Kemper come up a lot, not just with you, with everyone in this community.
Yeah, he's one of the biggest ones. He's like one of the most famous. Did you ever see the show Mindhunter, Greg? I don't know.
Maybe. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay, but he's incredibly smart. You looked him up on our last live. He's the guy with the high IQ.
Oh, yes.
Either him or Dahmer, probably. Or yeah, I think so. But I don't know. You know what's interesting is I got followed on Instagram by BTK's daughter.
No shit.
Yeah. Which is pretty hardcore.
Now, is that something you reach out and say, hey, do you want to do something
did.
for the show?
I did.
No.
So
No.
stand by.
Maybe stand
That's
by.
all. Yeah.
That was
Yeah.
actually going to be one of my questions. Have you reached out to family members or people
I
that
would.
worked on the case?
I've reached out. The other person I've spoken to is a detective on the Ramirez case. He was in the Night Stalker documentary on Netflix, and there might be something going on there. I'm not sure.
Melanie chiming in with Ed Kemp is one of her favorites. I'll make you uncomfortable. Picton and BTK, their favorites. Chime in with who your favorites are. I'm sure we.
You couldn't play
on all of them.
Picton's dumb. You can't play Guess Who.
Sounds like you
have
Picton. Feelings on this one.
You can't play Guess Who with Picton. He's too stupid. That guy was one of the. He's too dumb to play Guess Who, and it's for ages 4 and up or whatever it is. That guy. I guess if you want to, I don't know. Anyways, yeah.
So you mentioned the daughter reached out to you. How many of these people would you say are any loners? Are no family? Just got some of these subjects, or do most of them have? Secret life.
No, they had. That's called compartmentalization. So BTK, I did that episode just a few weeks ago on the families of serial killers. And it talked about that to an extent because BTK was known as, according to his daughter too, he was a good dad, right? Good dad. And he was her best friend, but he also was capable of doing all these horrendous things that she didn't find out about until 2005 when he was finally caught.
Sure.
But you can imagine what that would do to you. It's insane. She refers to her and the rest of her family as the 8th victim family because of all of that.
It's a good way of putting it. Yeah,
it's compartmentalization because this man's able to simultaneously be a good dad, apparently, and all of that. But then this whole other side, this whole other completely secret life that he leads, where he's able to go off and murder women like this. And in one case, even a
child, right? Yeah.
And in one case he did, and then come back and hold his own child. So it's
keep it all together. That's wild.
Yeah. And what happens often though with these guys in the compartmentalization is they have these 2 lives, but if ever this happens, if they intersect, it's done, right?
That's when the shit hits the fan. Yeah.
That's when the shit hits the fan.
Well, even here on Long Island, I'm on Long Island, New York, we had Rex Heuermann, the Gilgo killer, and his wife, to this day, says she had no idea what was going on, blah, 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 blah. It's how the hell do you know? We've all lived with someone. How the hell do you not pick up on that? Yo, where are you at? It's 2 in the morning. What are you doing?
Well, apparently in his case, because he's in this episode coming out.
It's sick.
On Friday.
James said you don't shit where you eat. That's the fact.
Well, yeah, it's a little worse than that. Even that's an understatement. But
Liv Creepy says she feels like the wife had something to do with it. With which case, Liv?
With Heuermann? With Rex?
Because
with Heuermann.
I agree with you with Heuermann.
With Heuermann, apparently most of the times they linked him to these things. She was away or he was away. But anyways. But yes, his wife does seem a little bit fishy. I kind of feel like BTK.
So we sent a camera to her house, and she came out on the front lawn screaming her head off. We were just looking to chat, and it was not going over well.
Fair enough. Greg works for the news in very close to there. Yeah.
Yeah, Greg, 20 minutes away. That's where that went down.
Yeah, Greg hangs out on Gilgo Beach often.
That's where I sunbathe. There's a few holes, but don't mind them. Again, everyone, I see people popping in, popping out. Double tap the screen. Give us a few hearts. I like when I see the hearts fly by. I don't know why. It makes me happy. I promised Josh I would play this a sound effect if it will work. Damn it, it's not working. You knew which one it was going to be.
How about this? How about you guys, while I got you here, folks, you vote here. Which thumbnail color is best, okay? You got red.
I mean, red's classic.
Let me make sure I don't have anything weird open on my computer. You got red.
That's true.
Okay, there you go. Can you guys see? I can't see what I'm showing you. Okay.
I'm leaning more towards
burgundy, charcoal, orange,
No, definitely not orange. It clashes.
Bright red.
I
Throw
think
your.
I think red or charcoal. Charcoal makes the blood pop on the knives.
I think red is more the eye catcher for YouTube thumb though. I'm leaning towards red.
So
But I'd love to hear it.
I've read that's like a science in itself, dude, making these fucking
Dude,
thumbnails.
hardcore science. So at the old channel that I worked at, we did collabs with I did a collab with Mr. Beast.
Nice.
And we were at Mr. Beast's facility, and the way they do their thumbnails, they have like 100 thumbnails up, and they're all like the exact same, except like his
pinky's up, his pinky's down. It's like,
yeah, this little part on his shirt is red, this little part on his shirt is blue, this little part is yellow. Like, it's true.
It
and
all matters though.
The channel that I was at was like that too. We would do all kinds of thumbnails, and I pay a lot of attention to the thumbnails too, but it's very difficult.
Do you generally put text on the thumbnails, or do you avoid the text?
Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. With this one, I'm not going to. I don't think. I try to think of what is the thumbnail and what is the title that's going to go beside the thumbnail for the video. So in this case,
that's a good question. How do you land on eye-catching titles?
Oh, that's hard. It's hard to think of the title.
To put something in 60 characters, or I don't know the max, but you know what I mean.
It's got to catch somebody. Often trying to do a funny title is, I think, a bad idea for the true crime. At first, I need to cast a wider net, which is just the true crime community to begin with, not the funny stuff. So I just got like this week's episode is going to be called "Where Did All the Serial Killers Go?" ? And that's the thumbnail.
I like that.
And then there's also going to be a secondary thumbnail, which is just going to be it'll be a large Dahmer head on the left. In the middle, it'll be Wade Wilson's head. And on the right, it'll be like a blank head with a question mark. And it'll be an arrow from Dahmer to Wade Wilson and an arrow from Wilson to the question mark. So it's like, we had Dahmer, then we had Wade Wilson, but who's next kind of thing.
What would you say the United States is notorious for their serial killers well over any other country?
Statistically, by like 1,000%.
Nothing makes me prouder to be an American.
Make America great again.
Yeah, that is a MAGA city right there. Mm-hmm. I love that. Who's the runner-up? Is it you guys?
Not even
Canada's
close.
Got some weirdos.
Yeah, we have our fair share, but nothing close to that.
Wild.
Nothing close to that.
Use no words says uncomfortable for the leave it without words. All right, so the people have spoken. Again, anyone chiming in, fire your questions off. This is kind of just an open forum. I'm of no one of any importance, so I'm just here to moderate, ask some questions, read some questions.
I'll make you uncomfortable. Just ask, are those Golden Globes behind you?
No, those are not Golden Globes. Those are Emmys. But I wish they were Golden Globes. I'd like to go for the EGOT one day. What
have you won Emmys for, Greg?
Graphic work. So in the news, a bunch of them are actually in sports. A lot of sports news, which you know me. I like the Knicks. That's about it. I don't really. Yeah. There's something you could be very visual with sports, so I get to do a little more shit with that.
Yeah.
Why did you start with breakfast cereal to begin with? It's got to be the name. Just ties perfect.
Yeah, the name there, Melanie. Cereal with an S, right?
Yeah, it's too good.
Yeah, like I said, like my old job at the time when I started the channel, my old job was coming up with and pitching show ideas for different platforms to this company. And so I would pitch a show and then they would greenlight it and then we'd make pilots and we'd release them. And I thought of this idea for this true crime and comedy thing and this breakfast cereal idea. And I liked it so much that I was like, I'm not going to tell them about this one. I'm going to just keep this idea for me. And then I've never done anything on camera before. I don't like being on camera.
Honestly, I've known Josh a long time. He was never a ham to be in front of the camera. And honestly, you do excellent. You do very well.
I'm a director, right? Like I was a director in an edit.
That class that you had to act, acting and it's horrible.
Hated it. But when I came up with the concept for breakfast cereal, I thought, I don't know if this is actually going to work. If this comedy and thing is going to work. So what I wanted to do was write one and then just shoot it with like in my own living room with like just no lighting or anything, just a camera
Just
and
a
then
proof of concept.
a
Yeah.
proof of concept, edit an episode together and see if it had legs as an idea, like see if it felt too weird or crappy. So I shot this test of myself. Sometime I'll share it with you guys because it's the very first thing and it is so awkward even compared to today. But I shot it and I liked it. And I shared it with my friend Eric, cameraman Eric, and my brother. And I put up a casting notice to
Oh,
cast.
so you were actually going to cast?
I talked.
Narrator.
I was talking to an actor to come and play the guy on the couch and do all that, and I was just going to direct it and edit and all this. But then a couple people were like, you know what? Like your test thing is pretty good. It's so written in your own voice. Why don't you just do it? You're
Sure.
good. You're good enough, and you'll probably get better.
And now seeing where the channel is going, you're sitting down with like professionals and stuff. You can't have
Yeah.
an actor. They're not going to be as engulfed in these things as you are. You know what I mean?
No, just like I couldn't get somebody. I don't think I'd ever be able to give up the edits.
Yeah. Well, I know that.
It would be hard. So like cameraman Eric is going to start to become a visual presence on the channel with me though over the next while. He's good. So we'll see. But and I did those fashion episodes with that fashion YouTuber. So I had a fashion YouTuber from the States actually. He came and joined me in Canada. He
Hell
lives
yeah.
he just lives outside Detroit, so it's only like 3 hours away. And he came and I had a fashion YouTuber and I made him like analyze the outfits of
That's
serial killers.
actually fucking hysterical.
But then I would always like throw in a photo, like there's the guy, the BTK killer. I would start with like photos of BTK where he was just like wearing a suit in court. And then he was wearing like his like outfit where when he went fishing, and another photo of him fishing. And then I would cut to a photo of him when he would tie pantyhose around his neck, wear women's underwear, and hang himself upside down from a tree outside, and make him analyze that photo. And I would just throw that photo at him out of the blue, and he had no idea they were coming. It was good, man. They're some of my favorite episodes too, and nobody watched them.
I love that, though.
Yeah.
Again, everyone coming in, I see the numbers going up. Like the stream if you can. Throw your questions out at Josh. We're kind of just talking about some of his favorite episodes, some of your favorite episodes. We talked about our favorite serials in general. We're an open forum right now, so we'd love to hear from you.
Amazing Fortnite clips needs more presence. Yeah, his channel name was Chill Fortnite Vibes.
That was the actual title.
The KFC guy. He agreed to come and help me try to make KFC, but then it became kind of obvious that he was just trying to promote his own Twitch channel, which was he said it was called Chill Fortnite Vibes. Obviously, I'm pretty sure it's pretty obvious, but maybe it's not. I don't know. Maybe I did it well enough to fool some people, but that's just the guy from KFC is actually an actor plant, a friend of mine who's a really good actor. So he made up this whole character of this guy who agrees to come with me to try to make KFC, but secretly he's trying to promote a really shitty Twitch channel called Chill Fortnite Vibes. He did such a good job.
This is a question I have. Have you ever had to revisit a subject because an episode's just running too long or it's going a whole different direction, even though it's the same killer?
I think I'm going to. As I've gotten better, I'm
sure some of these things can go on for 2 hours if you really wanted them to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Personally, I think I've gotten better and better, and I think the channel has gotten better, and the way I handle things has gotten better. That I think I could do a second Jeff Dahmer episode, and it wouldn't be a problem.
I was just going to say that as an example.
I also think I got another idea for one where it's Jeff Dahmer famously stole a mannequin from a department store that he took home and would like lay with and stuff. I want to get myself a mannequin.
Oh, we can do that. We can do that.
I just want to get a mannequin and just demonstrate how difficult it would be to try to steal a mannequin from a store. So
there is no easy way of doing that.
I might just go hidden camera style and try to steal a mannequin from a store.
Guerrilla
and just see what happens. Another thing I've always had these dumb ideas. Another thing I have is I did a whole episode.
Wait, who was the mannequin? Because Miranda said, "Wait, was that Kemper?"
No, Mannequin was Dahmer.
Dahmer.
Yeah, how did you feel laying in the street like Kemper? I was laughing so hard. Yeah, that's one of my favorites too. So Ed Kemper, famously in an interview, they asked him about like he used to play these kind of weird games. He called them when he was a kid, like everybody did. I compared it to like when you would play German gas pedal or something. If you remember
What the
that.
fuck game is that?
But anyways, like he said
What?
he said he would play this
Chat,
game
if
called
you've heard of German gas chain or pedal, whatever, please
yeah.
in the chat. I need to hear that.
He said he would play these games like gas chamber. He said he called it, and they would like tie like his sister to like the chair in the basement, the stuffed chair, and they would pretend like they were getting executed by the state. And then
what?
Or that his other game was that he would go and just for kicks, he'd go to when they were out with friends, he'd just go lay in the street.
Like an active road.
Like lay on an active road. So I did an episode where I was like, I showed him those interview clips of him, and then Eric and I go to try his games together.
Please tell me you played it straight. Like how is this fun?
Exactly what I did. So I went.
There it is.
I went with Eric. We're like, okay, so if we were going to play Gas Chamber, if you were a kid, you'd probably want a creepy basement. My basement's not creepy, so we found a friend with a creepy basement. We went to the store, bought a bike helmet, because you're like, if you're a kid, you'd probably put a bike helmet on. Like,
yeah, why not?
So we did that, and then I sit in the chair, and Eric executes me, and I'm just like, I get it. And then we go out. Then we go outside and lay in the road.
That's fantastic.
And then I'm like, but there's no cars, so I get on the phone and call my wife, who just calls me an idiot, because I'm like, would you just come out and drive the Jeep back and forth a few times so I could get a better feel for this? She's like, you're an idiot. So, but then I heard that he has another game that I missed, and he mentions it in another later on in the interview that I'm going to do a follow-up episode on, because he says the other thing that we would do was we'd get an area rug, and we just roll our friend up in the rug.
Like a burrito?
Turns. He's like, yeah, we just roll him up in a rug, leave the room, and then see how long it would take him to get out of the rug. And then we would take turns. So I'm going to get Eric to just roll me up in an area rug.
Just like minor suffocation.
Just leave like my head sticking out the top, like and roll me up in like a freaking big area rug.
Oh, you need
and then
that
just,
wide shot, like guys?
Yeah, just a wide shot from the corner of the room while I try 100%. To like
100%.
We'll put like a timer in the bottom with like a ticking clock, and then Eric will try and we'll see who can win.
I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Melanie, I love that she did that. Your wife sounds funny too. She's the nicest person ever. I bet you guys.
My wife, the funniest thing is that like my wife, as I said before, hates true crime and doesn't even like any of the stuff that I do for the channel, but we actually have a very she's one of the funniest people I've ever met. So like we laugh a lot, just not over the true crime stuff.
I feel like I haven't seen both of you in person in 6 years, probably.
2000. You saw us. When we visited you in New York in 2018.
Yeah, a picture popped up, and we were at like some rooftop bar.
No,
where the hell were we?
2019, but the very beginning. Yeah,
wow.
January 2019. I keep saying it's your turn to come here, or we'll come to Florida and stay at your cottage. Florida.
Florida.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that reminds me of a stupid game we used to play with a blanket on the trampoline. What game was that, Melanie Brown? That sounds intense. Did you have a trampoline growing up, by the way?
No, but a lot of friends did. I don't think.
Death traps.
Death traps. They shouldn't be legal.
Death traps. Oh,
every time.
Spring fucking caught in my skin and just.
Not only that, it's like oh, they bounced me when I wasn't ready for it, and I've like just snapped my knees.
Neck is broken. Sick.
One of my buddies jumped off his. Used to put it by his. He's like got the bright idea. I got to put his trampoline between the house and the pool. Got to jump off my roof, hit the trampoline, hit the pool. Easy. He gets up on the roof. We're probably 16, 17. Gets up on the roof, jumps off, hits the trampoline. Knees immediately rocket up, smoke him in the chin. Breaks his jaw. Has his jaw wired shut for 3 months. Has to eat food through a straw. Whoa, good job, buddy. What do you think was going to happen,
thought that was going to end with, and now he's in a wheelchair. We would wrap Melanie. We would wrap each other up in a blanket, and we would launch the fuck out of each other, but we couldn't move in the blanket. Oh, on the trampoline. That's wild.
Yeah.
You
The
got
kid
some
games that,
serious airtime.
you know what? We used to play some, I guess when I think about it, we would play some kind of disturbing type games too. Like we would play a game that we played two games. One was called the Break Your Ankle game.
It sounds like no
My-
one wins.
My brother and I, so we lived in a new subdivision and we were one of the first houses on the street. So there was like empty lots beside us. It's just like a bunch of mounded dirt. And in the wintertime, it get covered in snow. It's like this hill. So the Break Your Ankle game was you go up to the top of the hill. You couldn't see where all these different peaks and boulders and stuff where you had to jump. And you just land, and you might land like on a weird spot and twist your ankle.
Fuck up your ankle.
Another game we would play was one would go down to the end of the lot, the other would stand at the top and throw rocks at him, and the other one would dodge the rocks.
This is Canada,
Or
baby.
even better, you'd go inside the houses when they were being built. So they were just like a frame. And you know that like insulation that isn't like it's like not
pink stuff, the pink shit.
Yeah, but it's not the fluffy stuff. It's like hard styrofoam.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
pink. They would put that across the entire frame of the house, and then later on they'd come around with their knives and whatever and cut out the spots where the windows were. But before they would get to that, there was still just all this. When we would go in the houses in the winter and run and just jump and plow through these things.
Fantastic.
Yeah. We're getting so off topic here. Sorry, folks.
Live creepy. I grew up with brothers, so I was a wrestling dummy and ended up with me getting a broken foot. Isn't that always how it ends? Freshman had a gravel pit. We did crazy shit. Yeah, everyone is just going nuts over here. And happy belated birthday to I'll Make You Uncomfortable, who turned 41 this past Monday. So
we're the same age. He's just like 6 months older than me, I guess. But I'll Make You Uncomfortable lived in Manitoba, like backwoods Manitoba. I'll Make You Uncomfortable. I picture you. No, don't take this the wrong way. I picture you living with like the guys from Deliverance.
Compliment.
But like, what I would love to know the games that I Will Make You Uncomfortable played, because I've seen some of his YouTube videos where he was giving himself. This is only recently. Giving himself dry ice tattoos or whatever.
Oh my god, that'll fuck your skin up. Damn.
Yeah.
Good for him.
I meant that as a lighthearted joke though, Robin. So don't take it the wrong way. Hold on, I'm grabbing my Pepsi here. Sorry.
Regular Pepsi, and who doesn't drink Coke products?
Well,
you do everything wrong. Wendy, of course, yeah.
So Remember how I just said I eat very healthy?
Yeah, I was just going to say, remember how you just had that whole spiel about eating the healthiest you've ever eaten? Thank you, Melanie Brown, for saying Pepsi is shit.
Pepsi is shit.
Diet Coke, caffeine-free right now. We're winding down.
Pepsi is gross.
Pepsi is better. Wow, we got
Pepsi is better. James Herbert.
Well, you found your next serial killer.
Yeah, how do we ban someone from the channel?
Yeah, absolutely not.
Yeah. You know what? Like, this is what I want this channel to be like, guys. It's like this spot where
interaction with the viewers. I think it's cool.
I like this channel to start like I want my episodes to be about true crime, but to then just go off on this unexpected tangent where we're all talking about like how we used to roll up in a blanket and jump on the trampoline. Like, that's great.
So you said you had a few episodes coming up. Are you holding anything, and how long have you been holding something?
I have several ideas that I've been holding for over a year.
Is there any particular reason why? Is there a date you want to hit? Like hey, it's been 20 years since this happened. Here's something like that, or
one or two of them. It's because I think they're going to require a little bit of more of a budget for me to make, and I want to save it for if I can get the channel popping off a little better.
Sure.
I'll tell you one concept. It would take me maybe a week to shoot probably, but Richard Ramirez, also known as the Night Stalker, was caught in the craziest way. So they got an ID on him they were hunting the Night Stalker, and they got an ID on him. They plastered his face in the newspaper in the LA Times or whatever.
How'd they pick up the ID? A cam?
I can't remember, but they figured out who he was, so they put his picture in the paper. Like, we're looking for this guy, Richard. They knew his name. They put his picture in the paper. He didn't know, and he's on his way back on a bus to LA from somewhere. I forget what, like a Greyhound, and he gets recognized, right, on the bus.
Shit.
And the citizens of LA chased him through the streets like a movie. Like, all of a sudden there's like a mob of like 20 guys chasing him. Fuck this guy.
Citizens arrest. Yeah.
It's like in Spider-Man where they're like, nobody messes with Spider-Man. It's like they chased him through the streets for like a mile, right? And eventually the citizens catch up to him and beat the crap out of him and hold him there until the police get there and arrest him.
Yo, hell yeah.
Hell yeah, right?
So society.
I had a video idea where it was like, I wanted to start the video by saying, I'm 40 years, almost 40, and now I am 40. I'm 40 years old. I go to the gym. I like to think I'm in pretty good shape still. I just wonder, though, if I was on a bus like that, would I have what it takes to catch Ramirez? So then I was going to like go to a gym and be with a trainer, and like I was going to map out online how far he ran, where he ran, like the
distance,
the distance that he had to run. And then I was going to, with a trainer, create that inside of a gym with a treadmill, and I'd be like in gym clothes. And then I was going to be like, but the thing is, this was in LA, and I wouldn't have been wearing gym clothes. I'd just be on the bus, like coming back from work. So then I'd have like a briefcase and suit like on a treadmill. Yeah. And then we cranked the heat. So it was like LA. And then I was going to bring in like a 20-year-old, really junky type guy to act as Ramirez as well. And then, so it would be like, he would be my Ramirez, and then I would chase him around. And then it was going to be like, but even if I could catch him, I don't know how to tackle somebody or take him down.
Take him down. He's a killer.
So then I was going to go to a place that taught like Krav Maga or whatever it's called, Krav Maga, whatever it is, and learn how to like take somebody down. But essentially at that place, just get my ass kicked over and over. And I thought it would be a great video.
No, that would be quality. I like that a lot. Melanie said the town his uncle/cousin taught him to look into windows and shit is where they live now. Wow.
Oh, that's cool. Do you have blinds?
That's interesting.
Do you have blinds?
Buying out curtains now?
All the houses come with them.
This one, Miranda. Do you know the name of the taxidermist that would spoon out his victims' eyes and just leave them in the most obvious places? I can't think of the name. That's next level.
That's a funny comment to just drop in there.
Yeah, by the way.
Do you know that guy?
I like Pepsi, but
I like Pepsi as much as the next guy. But hey, you know that guy who used to dig people's eyes out and leave?
Yeah,
what do you mean by
the choice of the next generation?
What do you mean by leave them in obvious places? Like, where's an obvious place to leave an eyeball?
That sounds kind of like Easter eggs. Like,
yeah.
Now, do you notice a lot of these guys and gals leaving clues or little, like, I know that happens from time to time.
Yeah, they write letters because they're obsessed with, like, they're narcissists. They want the attention. BTK was constantly writing stupid letters. He created his own nickname, stuff like that.
Sure.
My games. I'll make your uncomfortables games. Here we go. Climb to the very top of a tree without it breaking or you falling out. Or what spray paint burns.
Oh, make a little flamethrower with a lighter and some spray
lighter. Oh, the good old days. Oh, yeah, let's steal your mom's car. Yeah, that's classic. I feel like I used to know these guys, like there was always like the tough kid in school, and like him and his brothers, they would have like BB gun fights. It's like,
fuck that up, put your eye out.
Yeah, that's fucking hardcore, right? Of course they did. I think 2 out of 4 of them are in jail now, so that tracks.
It's interesting though, like with some of these guys, like I only really know a lot about the Rex Uerman case, and they, raided his house, got all his hard drives. We found out he was looking up tons of articles from my publication that were written about him and just obsessing over the writers that wrote them, the details they throw in. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just turns into an obsession with these guys.
Maybe he could have hired you to do his logo.
I'd still make his logo.
Like BTK's logo. What a tool. What a tool. Greg, do you know how BTK got caught? It's my favorite
No,
story.
I know nothing about that.
So BTK, Greg's not as diehard of a true crime type guy. He's a good
Definitely
talker.
not.
That's why he's here to like do the thing. But
He's a
so
yapper.
so BTK he went dormant as a killer from like the late 70s all the way up till the 90s. Like he took it like almost 20
2
years.
decades of
Almost
nothing?
20 years where he didn't do anything, and people kind of forgot about him. And there was an article that somebody wrote in the Wichita Eagle, which is where he was from or close to, that said like they were surprised in hearing that it was an anniversary of one of the something or other, that a lot of young people today and a lot of people hadn't even heard of the BTK case. And he read the article and it got under his skin that people didn't know who he was.
His
So he
pride got in the way.
Yeah, so and his ego. So he came out of retirement essentially, did a couple more and sent letters back to the newspaper, and then was having correspondence with the police too. And he was so deluded that he thought that there was like a mutual respect between him and the detectives, like that the detectives respected him or something, because they were corresponding.
Elitist prick. Yeah.
So he wrote the police and he asked them, hey, are you guys able to trace a floppy disk? And they were just like, no. So he sent them a floppy disk. They toss the floppy in. They check out the like fucking metadata on the floppy. And the disc was used by someone named Dennis at this particular church. They go to the church. Dennis Rader is the one of the head guys of this particular church. They look at Dennis Rader. They catch him with this floppy disk. That's how he gets caught.
What a fucking moron.
They bring him in, and he's admitted it. And one of the first things he says to the detective, he's like, hey, I got to ask you something. I got to ask you about this. Why would you lie to me about the floppy disk?
Because we're the police, you ass.
The detective just looks at him and he's like, because I was trying to catch you.
Yeah.
Like he just couldn't believe. He thought there was a mutual respect.
They were peers, yeah.
They were mutual respect, and we got honor. And it's like, you don't have any honor, dude. You killed a family and children.
Yeah, you piece of shit.
Respect. What a tool. To this day,
said the Zodiac killer still hasn't been deciphered, which is true. We were just talking about that before we went on live.
Yeah, it hasn't been caught. Yeah, I mean, there's some people that say he's so and so, and there's other people that say he's definitely so. I believe the Zodiac case will absolutely be solved with advances in DNA, and the more people getting into the database through like whatever those services are and stuff. 33andMe or some crap and whatever.
Oh yeah, Ancestry and all that bullshit.
Yeah, there's people out there that believe that they're going to be able to solve Zodiac because of those types of things, right? By the way, don't do
one of those. I did.
No, it's not a good idea. I don't think.
It's a horrible idea. I could get arrested in a second now.
Yeah. That's funny.
I got scars for that shit. More on my point exactly. Yep.
Absolutely. Yeah, BTK. Yeah. Wow. You know what's funny too? So his daughter, I talked about it in that video. Is this the one that messaged you? Yeah, I talked about it in that video I did too a couple weeks ago. His daughter didn't have any communication with him for almost 20 years after his arrest. He was writing her a lot, but she never responded.
Okay.
And then only about a year and a half, 2 years ago now, she responded for the first time, and she went to see him in prison.
Wow.
And she told him.
This is the one who said overall he was a good dad, right?
Yeah. She told him that she was writing this book called Serial Killer's Daughter, and it was about her experience and coping with it and that. And she was going to be writing this book, and BTK is like, so could I co-author this book with
Oh
you?
my God.
she's like,
Come,
no.
come on. Jesus.
So delusional. It's crazy. But he's like 80 now, and he's rotting away, and he'll be gone pretty soon, I think, from the sounds of it. Betty Kruger, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Are you under the assumption anyone who's still like pleading guilty, or innocent, is actually innocent?
Now, here's the thing: like 99% of serial killers, when they get by the time they're in on trial, it's not about whether or not they're guilty because they've already usually confessed, or the evidence is way too
And they
overwhelming
want the
against
credit
them.
for it, right?
It's or it's just that the evidence is already stacked way too high against them. But usually, by the time they get to trial, it's more about like often it's like somebody trying to get them the insanity plea, or just kind of making sure that like they are treated quote unquote fairly. I'm reading about a lot about that in the defense lawyer thing. Now, Rex is an interesting case, Rex Hooverman, because
He is
this
saying not
guy's
guilty
he's swearing up and down not guilty. But like, how do you,
all the time.
but from the sounds of it, these
They found his
documents and all
DNA
this,
all over it. DNA
I don't,
everywhere.
I'm very curious to see what happens when the trial goes to trial, what his excuses are for a lot of these things, if that's the case.
Now, have you touched would the Menendez brothers be something you would do a piece on?
Yeah, I haven't got there yet. I actually didn't watch the series yet.
Is that a serial killer?
No, absolutely not. A serial killer
No.
is somebody. They killed their parents. That's it.
That's it.
A serial killer is somebody who, by definition, it's somebody who kills three or more, two or more. Sorry, I can't remember the exact. Over with what they call a cooling off period in between.
Interesting.
So not a
what
singular.
Defines a cooling off period? Just an elongated amount of time.
Yeah, like they kill somebody and then like maybe a week later, maybe a month later, maybe a year later.
So that eliminates the crimes of passion and in the moment. They're taking the steps.
And then there's a mass killer, right? Or a mass murderer is somebody who does like it's a singular event.
Melanie says it has to be three.
Yeah, okay. So there you go. Three or more with a cooling off period in between. And mass murderer is somebody who does like a singular event. So it's like, even if you went in one day and you went around town and you killed like 5 people, you'd be a mass murderer, not a serial killer. It's all one kind of event, right? A school shooter is not a serial killer.
Sure. Betty Kruger chiming in with the Menendez brothers. I genuinely feel bad for them. I've noticed that recently. That's been a big talking point.
Okay, I'm gonna preface this.
Hot take coming.
I'm gonna preface this with the fact that I didn't even watch the documentary, so I don't even know what I'm talking about. But let me say my initial thoughts on that with nothing to back it up. And that is that, do you guys remember when Making a Murderer came out?
Sure.
Do you remember all of these people being like, free, whatever his name was? I can't even remember. Aaron.
Yeah, and I know who you're talking about.
Yeah, the guy on the guy who was the murderer that they made. There was all this talk that like, oh, because of this series, he's gonna get free. It's gonna move the needle. I believe in the real world, nobody gave a shit that they made this documentary. It didn't move the needle in the slightest to get him to get him off or to get him released or any of that stuff. And I kind of would be, I feel like I would be surprised if the Menendez brother documentary on Netflix was enough in the real world to allow them to have like some, I don't know, but I could be 1 billion% wrong.
It's enough to get people talking again and maybe opening up some files again to take a better look at things. That does happen, but
we'll see. I mean, I shouldn't even say because I haven't even seen the documentary. That's me. You know, before I had this channel, I used to want to do.
Betty brings up exactly what I was going to say. Gypsy Rose, which is also something I watched. That it wasn't a documentary. I forget what that show was, but you do feel bad for this girl. Like, what the hell else is she supposed to do? I kind of sympathize.
Yeah, I wanted to have Well, Betty Kruger says she should be in jail.
Oh, she did say should be in jail. Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm like, you think she shouldn't?
I'm like, Gypsy, go get it, girl. Get
Now,
out there.
here's the most famous one I think of this kind of case is a Canadian. So there was they called them the Ken and Barbie killers. Their names are Paul Bernardo and Carla Homolka. They were a young married couple. First, they were just dating, and Paul Bernardo was famous
What
enough.
era is this? What?
They were arrested in the very early 90s and sentenced
Okay.
in like 94 or 91, I forget, something like that. But Paul was known as the Scarborough rapist before he was turned to murder. But anyways, he's with Carla, and together they killed a few girls that they had kidnapped and held and like SA'd and then murdered, including Carla's sister. She gave her sister, essentially. They drugged her sister, and she gave her sister to Paul, her fiance.
Shit.
Yeah, really messed up.
Wow.
So, anyways, they when stuff came to light and the trial was about to go down and he was arrested and she was arrested, they made a plea deal with her because they thought she was a victim. They made a plea deal that if she was to turn on him and testify against him, that she would get a lenient sentence, right? Because they thought she was a victim and that she didn't really have that much necessarily to do with the crimes and all of this. Signs the plea deal and agrees to testify. Like a week later, the police find the tapes and they realize she absolutely had just as much to do with this as him. There she is, an active participant, not under some sort of duress. There she is later on, dressed up like her own sister that they had killed so that they could like reenact it together while Paul sleeps with her. She's dressed up like her sister and all that. Like, it's messed up.
Damn.
But they've already signed the plea deal. So she goes to jail, but not for very long. And she's been out for like, I forget, 15 years. He's still in jail. She's been out for ages.
Wow. So the plea deal really can protect you, like no matter what?
Yeah, because like if they have an agreement like that, the whole justice system falls apart if they can take it back. And it makes sense.
I mean,
but
what you said, that does make sense.
It's horrific. It's a horrific mistake. But
Miranda said episode killer couples coming up, question mark?
Okay, so I'm writing one right now called I'm in love with a serial killer. And I'm hoping to have it ready for Thanksgiving, Valentine's Day. Because I'm shooting again in about a week and a half. So I've got a whole bunch of stuff that I've got halfway done that I'm trying to finish up that I can get ready. I'm in love with a serial killer.
I'm in love with a serial killer, like the people that are writing like Charles Manson in jail and shit like that. Like just
it's looking at all these people, yeah.
That's a fucking next level infatuation that I don't.
Then I'm doing one on what's her name? I'm doing one I want to call Messed Up Mothers, and then for Mother's Day, where I look at the mothers of some of these guys, and then another one that I'm calling
I love that it'll drop on Mother's Day.
Another one I'm calling Effed Up Fucked Up Fathers that'll drop on Father's Day. So I got a lot of like themed stuff coming up that I'm excited for.
I love that.
All right, we only got a couple minutes left here.
Yeah, guys, keep liking the chat again, because it shows even after we're off the air how many likes came through. It really helps out the channel. Any questions that you want to send our way? We're just kind of talking. We're chilling.
Yeah, and a heads up, next week on Breakfast for Dinner, I'll be back in my usual spot, but I'm joined by a guy called Chuck the Movie Guy. He's a TikTok. Well, who knows for how long, but it sounds like it'll be around for a while.
You got 90 days.
It's Chuck, the movie guy from TikTok. He's got about 300,000 over on TikTok, or 500,000 on TikTok, something like that. And he's a movie review guy. So he's coming on and we're going to talk movies in this space. So movies either based on fictional serial killers or on nonfiction serial killers. And I'm sure we're going to start talking about a bunch of other movies because I love nothing more than movies. So
Joanna,
that'll be fun.
Welcome from England. So speaking of movies in this space, just spitballing, what are some of your tops? What's your top 3, for instance?
Zodiac, number 1. for me, I think.
Clear cut.
David Fincher, Zodiac. As far as nonfiction goes, if you want to include fictional, Silence of the Lambs is in there probably.
Phenomenal.
What
was the follow-up to Silence of the Red Dragon? Remember that with Ed Norton?
Hannibal was first, then Red Dragon by Brett Ratner.
You know our allegiance to Brett Ratner.
Our allegiance to Brett Ratner, who I got a scholarship for film school from.
He did make The Family Man, which is still one of my top Nicolas Cage movies of all time.
Watched it 2 weeks ago, or a few weeks ago for Christmas. Watch it every single Christmas.
Of course you do, because it's fantastic.
It's amazing.
Don Cheadle, so good.
Great live, Josh. What's up with the gold watch?
What watch are you wearing?
It's a Casio.
Oh, that's nice. I like that. Look at this. I found this on TikTok for $40.
On TikTok?
It looks like a sketch.
Oh, cool.
I'm buying everything I can off TikTok while it's around.
I like the gold Casios. I have a few different ones.
Casios are sick.
This is one of them.
Wait, are you into watches now? I have a shitload of watches.
I just have a couple. I just almost bought I'm not sure how you pronounce it. I don't want to sound like an idiot, but is it Bolova?
Oh, yeah.
But I saw it I tried to buy it it was just on Marketplace, but it was this gold Bolova. It kind of looked like this, but it was from 1984, the year I was born. And I was like, oh,
that's
sick. And I offered the person the money they wanted for it. They said, yeah, sure. And then they sold it before I got to go pick it up. So
I'm really into Nixons these days.
Okay.
Well, hello, just got here. I'll have to catch up later. Not sure what the convo is right now. We're just going off the hinges right now. We did a lot of viewer questions.
We were talking about you.
And now we have to stop the live because you came in. Thanks a lot.
Great. Thanks a lot.
Oh, slap bracelets.
Slap bracelets, rock on. We're just talking to Tamara. We're just talking about. We're doing a Q&A. We're talking anything you guys want to know, whether it's about the channel, whether it's about anything really. I mean,
you almost fell off your chair, which is hysterical, and no one's going to address that. He talked about his favorite cereals. How many robes are in it? So, are any new robe purchases on the horizon? Because I could find you some baller ass robes.
Yeah, if you guys find me robes that you think are cool,
you should start a robe donation, and you could say "sent in by viewer," blah blah blah.
Yeah, send me the links. Send them on Instagram. Send it to breakfastcerealkiller@gmail.com.
You're gonna need a PO box soon. We want to start getting some gifts.
Yeah, I got to start making money on this channel at some point. It's like a full-time job where I lose money every day.
That comes later.
Yeah.
Love of the game right now.
It totally is, yeah.
The best cereal is Count Chocula. Thank you, Tamara. Count Chocula. She comes in and nails it. Count Chocula, the Halloween time.
Seinfeld
turns into chocolate milk.
Seinfeld talks about cereal in that one special he has where he's like, you see, we had all these sugary cereals, but then they got cocky and parents caught on when they came out with Cookie Crisp because all of a sudden it's just cookies, small cookies poured into a bowl. And parents were like, wait, hold on a sec. This is just cookies. You can't have cookies for breakfast.
It's a bowl of dessert, legitimately. Did you see his Pop-Tart movie? Did you like it?
I didn't see it. I kind of get annoyed by him in the last few years.
So frustrating.
So smug and full of himself.
You don't understand how hard comedy is. Shut the fuck up, guy. Like, enough.
Yeah,
like it's brain surgery. Like, you're funny. Yeah. We get it. Okay.
Yeah. Betty Kruger. What about that?
Frank and Barry. It's a trio, Josh. I'm gonna send them next time. If you don't have them in that shitty land,
you need to send me somebody from the United States. If somebody sends me a case of Utz, 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 however you pronounce it, the chips.
Utz, chips or pretzels?
Chips. When I lived in New York for those. Utz? No, when I lived in New York for 5 years, the Utz Red Hot chips, the purple bag, was like my favorite. No, so
dude, I will send you a case of those.
I had a friend, Christian. You know Christian. He sent me a case of Red Hot chips like a couple of years ago, and I haven't done it since. I need some more. So, you Americans, send me Utz Red Hot chips, and I will be forever indebted.
People, put out all the items. I'll make a care package. I'll send it his way. We'll do first class mail. You know, because I don't want to get tariffed on this. I got to send it out soon.
Oh, yeah.
They're literally everywhere. Uts are interesting. They are interesting. Official
Yeah.
chip of the New York Yankees, if I'm not
Melanie Brown, if I'm not mistaken, you're out in Arizona and you haven't heard of it because Utz is an East Coast only chip.
very East Coast.
Very East Coast. They don't have them out like California. Not really, anyways. Not that I ever saw.
This is more personal. You think you'll ever make your way back over this way or no?
To live?
Yeah.
No, I doubt it.
You're
It's just too much of a too much of a hassle. And plus, yeah, kind of. I mean,
But
I think
I'm here.
I'm a little bit better off here probably right now. I don't know.
Well, yeah, you're safe.
Depends on who you ask. Wait, the 200 fallen angels are a group of angels who were expelled from heaven and became servants of Satan. They are also known as the Watchers.
Oh.
Earth's known impact craters, meteorite and comet impacts, have left about 200 named craters on Earth.
I think we're just getting a full manifesto. I think you have your next subject.
Hey, wait, read that one question I gave you that I liked a lot. I put it as the first question.
Oh, yeah, from Rat Fetus 666. He writes,
Yeah.
Dick.
That's his question. That's what he wrote on Instagram. I came through. I was like, his question.
Dick. I was like, I think you sent the wrong list. Oh, this guy's feeling.
Are you talking end of times here, man? Are you revelationing us?
Yeah, Arkin or whatever. What's happening? Should get a P.O. box to send stuff to. Well, maybe we are a feisty breakfast crew. I think it would be hysterical.
Also, I need to know, like, we've been back and forth over this a million times. We need to have a name for the breakfast cereal people, right? The breakfast
mob.
I sometimes call it the Breakfast Club, and I know that's kind of funny and stupid.
It's too easy.
It's too easy. I did like Bystanders because it's like,
oh yeah.
You know, or the accessories.
That's actually funny. Yeah. Did Snap, Crackle, and Pop have a name overall? Because there's got to be some sort of group.
Oh, a cereal. Oh, a reference to cereal instead of true crime.
I like that.
You call you guys the Milk.
The Milk's here. The Milk's.
That sounds like pervy somehow. Or something.
It's somehow naughty the way you.
We're the Milk. Yeah.
I like whatever this guy is saying. Nikola Tesla's coming out. Oh, Canada. Where is everyone from in the chat? Quickly, I'm curious. Where we had someone from England, Arizona. I saw. It seems like your viewership is all over, which is great. I mean,
it's mostly the States.
Yeah.
But yeah, we have some Canadians too.
I'm a watcher. Don't say that. Ireland is James. Sounds like a horrible B film porno. Massachusetts, Betty Kruger. There you go.
Betty Kruger,
not too far.
How Betty Kruger's Massachusetts?
Yeah, Betty knows what's up.
I thought
she came in with the right cereal. She knows what's up.
I somehow thought Betty was
Oh, the Breakfast
Arizona.
Cult. That's not bad.
The Breakfast Cult.
On the Breakfast Club. Cult is kind of that word is.
Yeah. Only if you do exactly as I say. James, you said Scotland. I thought he was saying Scotland. He was referencing my brother because my brother lives over there.
South African. There you go. Wow. How about that Elon? Hailing Hitler.
He's not. Oh yeah, jeez. That was wild, man.
I saw that live and was like, oh, I guess we're just doing this now.
Yeah.
I guess we're just okay with that. Originally California. Okay, there you go.
Oh my God, we're running late.
Oh yeah, we are running late. Well, we're spieling. We got the people talking. They're into it. I like this.
Yeah.
Would you ever do any? Now, mostly you're shooting on the sound stage, or you have your location set up. Do you ever plan on doing anything at the scene of where
I did one?
You did. Okay, I was gonna ask.
I did. So when I did the Ken and Barbie Killer episode, because they were Canadian, the ones that I just talked about, that story with the plea deal. When we were originally shooting the series, we would go to the actual house where that basement vibe is until we couldn't use the house anymore, and then we had to move to the studio. But that house happened to be only about 10-minute drive from where they dumped one of the bodies after the
No
crime.
shit. Wow.
And we were shooting the thing, and cameraman Eric goes, "You know what?" He's like, "I'm pretty sure that's close to here. Let's look it up quick." And he looks it up on his phone. He's like, "It's 10 minutes away."
Wow.
So we just drove over there and stole a line. Because in the episode, I'm like, they did the things, and then they dropped the bodies, and then we cut. And I was like, right here.
Damn.
Yeah.
It was like the dumping ground?
I'll make you uncomfortable. Keeps bugging me to call the group the family. But I don't know. I know it's Manson, but I think the Manson family is what he's referencing.
I understand that.
But I don't
Breakfast
want to
Club's
reference.
better than that.
I don't want to reference something like make the Manson family kind of sound cool because I think they weren't
it's got to be
cool.
a spin
I don't
on
know.
some sort of serial like gang,
Yeah.
or just call them the Spoons.
Spoons. That's like that. That reminds me of Grant. He used to always. I had an Irish roommate, and that was an Irish slang, and he'd always go.
Wait, you guys, when did you live together?
Josh, you're such a spoon mate. We lived together in Cobble Hill.
I do not remember that.
I don't think you ever came to that place. It was after you went back and just laid around in a dark room in Long Island for a year. As far as I know, that's what you did. But anyways.
Spoons. Remember the Titanic clip?
Yeah, my roommate was Irish, and he was Northern Irish, which means he was very Protestant. And I used to stop at this one particular like newsstand where they had those free, you open it up and you take the thing out. And there was one called Catholic Weekly, and I'd always grab Catholic Weekly and bring it home and put it on his pillow.
Little Spoons, I like that. Spoon isn't really Irish.
Yeah, he was from Belfast.
Did he go back?
He just did. He moved back. Anyways, we shouldn't.
Yeah, I mean, this is like us talking. Serial thrillers, because he can't say kill. Serial thrillers. My serial thrillers. Come in.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
That's not bad. I like that.
Why don't we all go into, if you go onto my last post in the community tab on YouTube, where I was announcing that I was doing this live, I'll make a new post in the morning that says, hey, what should we call ourselves? And then we can, in the comments, we'll put it in there, okay?
Now, I'd personally like to see an episode on obscure things these killers ate or drank. I don't know how much access you have to this information, but I think that could be interesting.
Well, yeah, I mean, here's the thing. They just ate food. They're not like, they didn't eat some special diet. They were just like,
no, but
are you telling me that Gary Ridgway ate pork chops?
People like
wow,
pickles and peanut butter and weird
thrilling.
Bullshit.
Where are we going to find that information? Gary Ridgway apparently liked to eat cheese and jam sandwiches. Yeah.
It was flavored, actually. 10 spoons on today's live.
Okay. All right. I think we went long. I think we're going to call it here. Let's go to 10:45. We got 3 minutes. Final questions.
All right,
if you got them.
Let's get the last questions for Josh. Again, double tap that shit. Make those hearts go fucking crazy because it looks cool on my end when I see it. I'm trying to play a fart button sound effect. It's not working.
I got early call time in the morning on the shoot that I'm on here. So, oh. Hey!
I wish I was doing that the whole time. Yeah, the heart button's going nuts when I do
it. He's got a soundboard. Remember E-Bombs World, anyone?
Oh my god.
The soundboards where it would have like Arnold Schwarzenegger soundboard, and it would be like, here's all his responses,
like
here's all the questions.
Yeah, yeses, no's, questions.
Who is your daddy and what does he do? Yeah.
I want the pizza. Pepperoni and bullets.
Yeah. Shut up, you idiot.
Cheese and jam sandwiches definitely sound like a serial killer meal. Yeah, that is fucking disgusting. Should collab. That's great, Josh. Poke the bears.
Should collab with who? With you, James? If so, tell me what you do.
I don't do anything. What do they collab?
No, James Herbert says should collab. I'm assuming that he means with him.
Yo,
or something.
whoever is hitting the hearts and the things, it's flying all over my screen, and I am loving every second of it. Like, do this always, because it's phenomenal. He dropped his handle in the chat. There you go.
JJ Slavin. I tried to message that guy because he does all the last meal stuff, but he never responded to me. He just does like his. I'm not going to talk badly about another creator. He's wildly successful, just holding his cell phone and like reading Wikipedia about a serial killer while he like makes a sandwich. He's killing it. He's killing it.
There's a coffee table book I wanted to pick up that's just called Last Meals, and it's people's last meal on death row, and like a nice picture of it, and some of them are just absurdities, you know. Like
I know the exact book. I've looked at it. Yeah.
I want to get that. It looked pretty sick. I noticed a lot of fried chicken. I guess some of these are country.
Well, I'll link you. That's the episode I made was on fried chicken, right? The guy's last meal request was last
like
fried chicken.
And honestly, chat, chime in on this for your last meal. I might go the classic McDonald's. I might get 20-piece nugget, fucking Big Mac, supersized fry.
It's
American, baby.
It's like Christmas Eve or whatever. That's the thing I said that one time. I can't remember. Remember? We were in Union Square McDonald's, and I was hammered or whatever, and I was talking about the French fries like it was, I forget. But anyways, it was here's the last question for everybody. What is your last meal? Mine.
Yeah, last meal. Come on.
Honestly, mine, spaghetti and meatballs.
That is such a basic bitch fucking answer. That is basic shit.
If I had,
you just said Italian.
You just said McDonald's.
That's because it's an Americana classic. But like, I also want a side of watermelon, and I want Diet Coke, and maybe a coffee, just to like shit before. I don't want to go to the chair with shit.
Okay, I saw a hilarious bit where a guy was like, "You know what you do for your last meal?" He was doing it so straight faced. For your last meal, you request the electric chair. So you eat the chair, then they have to postpone.
Are you playing like the reverse Uno card on this?
Then they have to, because you ate part of the chair and now they can't execute you. And then once they get it all set up again, you ask for the chair again. They're like, "Oh, that's smart."
Let's see. We got Betty goes fresh fruit because it's impossible to get in prison. That probably is very refreshing. Eggplant parm, Tamara, you get it. Lasagna, a lot of Italian dishes. Yeah, a lot of like gabagool coming in here.
Yeah, like you're Italian.
Hey, manja.
Yeah.
Motherfucker. Fresh fruit salad, a lot of fruit. Poutine. That Canadian bullshit. I get that shit out of here.
She's American. Canadians don't actually really give a shit about poutine.
That's cheese curd, right?
Cheese curds, gravy on French fries.
It's diarrhea on French fries. That's what people want. That's disgusting. No thank you.
She was American.
Steak with a baked potato, again, a staple. That is a staple.
Greg, this guy, all he used to order, it used to drive me crazy. Let me get an extra large pizza, just cheese.
I never ordered just cheese pizza.
You only ordered double cheese pizza. That was it.
You're telling me I didn't do pepperoni? What are you, fucking out of your mind?
You never ordered pepperoni.
Because you probably wanted some weird bullshit like arugula or some...
You would always... Yeah, the same guy who would have his laundry picked up, done for him, and then delivered back to the apartment. Anyways, we're getting way off topic.
You didn't separate the whites!
Okay, folks. Listen, it's been a great live. It's 10 to 11. I think we should call it. I've really enjoyed just hanging out again. Greg, thanks so much for coming on too, man.
Yeah, of course.
That was fun. We'll do it again because it was fun.
Everyone out there, thank you so much for coming through. As always, again, before you leave, smash the like button. Spread the word. Spread the love. A lot of fun episodes coming up. I think you should end with what's on the horizon.
Yeah, remember this Friday. I'm hoping Friday. But if not on the weekend, it should be Friday. I'm just really busy with a couple of actual work things that I'm trying to get off my plate too. But Where Did All the Serial Killers Go? 22 minutes long, coming out this weekend. After that, I'm shooting a whole slew of new content, including Wade Wilson, Dating Game Killer, a couple movie reviews, all that stuff. And next week, we'll be back with Chuck the Movie Guy here, Breakfast for Dinner, 9 p.m. Wednesday. All right, folks. Love it. Thank you so much.
Thank you so
Monkey
much,
Land.
guys. Yeah,
Thank you,
Monkey.
Miranda. Thank you. I'll make you uncomfortable, Robin, Betty, everybody. Thank you so much, and have a good one. Later.